been 5 years to the day since the collapse of American investment bank Lehman Brothers sparked the global financial crisis. But with the lessons learned, is the world's financial system now robust enough to avoid another crash? A lot of changes have been made globally and in Australia with the finance market toughening up regulations. But, Matt, there are still concerns about risky behaviour, and APRA issued a warning this week to the banks.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think it's a good thing that the regulator is willing to go out there and tell banks that they should be very mindful of the risks. Housing makes up about 50% of all the assets on banks' balance sheets. If there was ever a problem in the Australian housing market, it would be a very big disaster.
Yeah, it's risky. And, David, do you think the lessons of the GFC have been learned? Have we done enough to avoid a repeat?
Well, I think history will tell us that certain aspects of it were handled reasonably well. You know, the liquidity response, the stabilisation arrangements. But you can never rule these things out, whether it's the house land boom of the 1890s or the oil problem of the 1970s. You can never rule this out, but we just have to be more vigilant. And
what could we do? What are some of the steps that could be taken?
Well, I think that governments themselves have got to realise that the combination of their monetary policy stances and their fiscal stance can, put the system awash with money. And what we're seeing right now with a boom in asset prices in the equity market is not matched by company performance. And also the banks in particular have an incentive to write mortgages, even though the household sector is quite heavily indebted. So what APRA's done is exactly right, and it's what we should expect of the regulator. But the underlying system's got to be watched all the time to see where those incentives lie.
Yeah, good to see it, and hopefully it can be avoided, that the mistakes have been learned.